Feminism and sexism in gaming has been a hot-button topic as of late, thanks to people like Anita Sarkeesian and Movie Bob. Ever since Anita started posting her tropes versus women in video game series, it seemed like everybody and their mother has had something to say about it. Men, women, and even people flying the same banner of feminism as her. I don't have a problem with what she has issues with, as there is a bit of a disconnect going on when it comes to gender in video games, but it's how she arrived to her conclusions, and a lack of a real solution I have a problem with. Now, even though I threw my 2 cents in on her first video, I have no plans of covering her ongoing series. Why bother when I have the entire rest of the internet doing the work for me? However, I do want to talk about an issue that I see a surprising lack of people bringing up when it comes to the topic of sexism in video games. One thing that is always being brought up by Anita Sarkeesian and people like her are female characters that are sexualized and being turned into, and I'm using their words here, glorified fapping material. Now, personally, I don't see anything wrong with a female character in a fictional work being sexy, but then again, I'm speaking from a perspective of a male gamer, so you might have to take that with a grain of salt. I can, however, throw them a bone if a character is nothing but eye candy, and in the case of JRPGs. For example, when you level your character to max and get the super ultimate special armor. If it is a male, he will be built like a fucking tank with armor covering every square inch of his body. If it is a female of the same class, however, and their ultimate armor resembles that of robed warrior shoulder pads and, well, not much else. I get that. Not only is it blatantly made for eye candy, but it just makes absolutely no goddamn sense, even in the context of a fictional setting. How the hell can that be considered armor if it doesn't even cover her ass? Samus Aran has always been considered by many gamers, both men and women, to be the textbook idea of a respectable, strong, and independent female hero. However, as I have noticed with some of the more, shall we say, outspoken members of the feminist community, she is anything but. For example, when you beat certain Metroid games in a short time, I believe the only 2 that actually do this are the original Metroid and Super Metroid, you get to see Samus in a 2-piece bikini suit as a reward. Remember, this is at the very end of the game. To some pseudo-feminists, this is an example of women being objectified and sexualized. Ignoring that, what about the fact that she spends all of her time as a bounty hunter, liberating planets, sometimes even entire solar systems, kicking all sorts of space pirate ass, and blowing shit up? Ask other pseudo-feminists, and they will tell you that because she is a female character performing roles that are usually suited to men, it is sexist because you have copy-pasted a female exterior onto a male interior. A dude in drag, essentially. Everybody got that? If a female character sticks to gender roles and shows a little bit of a skin, it's sexist. But if a female destroys gender roles by kicking just as much ass as any dude, it's also sexist. Really, the only thing I can even consider remotely sexist when it comes to Metroid was Samus's de-evolution from a strong, independent bounty hunter who don't need no man to a weak-minded, sniveling Mary Sue with daddy issues and other M. It's pretty funny looking back, because Movie Bob, the same guy who had his head so far up Anita's ass you couldn't even pry it loose with a crowbar, was telling us, the gamers who called Teen Ninja out on this, to shut the fuck up about other M being sexist, and that her deplorable portrayal was just character development. Moving on with my intended topic, I'm not denying that a lot of female characters are designed with male gamers in mind. I'm not denying that many of them are designed to get your willies wet. Remember, although there isn't much of a gap in percentage between male and female gamers, the number of male gamers is slightly higher, so companies are obviously going to cater more to the bigger demographic. This isn't sexism, it's just common business practice. I'll also add that having sexy characters isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are plenty of sexy characters that I like for much more than their obvious appearance. I can name several. Tifa Lockhart from the Final Fantasy series. Yeah, she has a huge bust and is wearing an impossibly short miniskirt, but you know what else? She's a badass. She doesn't take anyone's shit, and she can take out giant monsters with her bare fists, while everyone else has to use comically oversized weapons and magic spells. Princess Kitana from Mortal Kombat. Despite being a princess, which in itself is a terrible thing for some reason, does she wait inside an ivory tower for her handsome white knight to rescue her? Hell no. When Shao Kahn invaded her homeworld of Edenia, she charged right up there in the front ranks and kicked all sorts of Tarkatan ass. Defeated her evil sister Melina, and with the help of her friends, destroyed the evil Emperor of Outworld, Lara Croft of Tomb Raider. Yeah, she's been on pinups in video game magazines and skimpy clothing, and in her own game is very well endowed, but she's also a fearless adventurer, a master marksman, a master explorer, and overall highly intelligent, and has saved the world several times over. Fujiko Mine from Lupin the Third. Yeah, I know, her breasts are larger than the average cantaloupe, she dresses provocatively in almost every episode, and sleeps with practically everything that has a pulse. But besides that, she is a master of disguise, an expert marksman, is often 20 steps ahead of her male counterparts, and a perfect intellectual match for the master thief Arsène Lupin III. So, what exactly am I getting at? Why am I even making this rant? Simple. To bring up a huge double standard that has been shown by people calling themselves feminists. Here we have all of these female characters. Although they are obviously designed with ultimately male gamers in mind with how they dress and look, they also have a multitude of other positive aspects you can respect and admire. Bravery, independence, they can hold their own in a fight, intelligence, the list goes on. However, I've seen pseudo-feminists take these characters, place them under a microscope, and tear them apart, throwing every single good quality that they have out the fucking window, while only focusing on only one thing: their looks. This is demeaning towards women. This is sexist. This is setting women back. This is offensive. So what exactly am I getting here? These people are judging these characters' worth based solely on how they are dressed and how much skin they are showing. That is body shaming. This is something that I thought, for the longest time, feminism was trying to get rid of. Because do you know why feminists are trying to get rid of body shaming, and as it's sometimes called, slut shaming? Because it's just one teeny step closer to some asshole saying, "She was asking for it, come on, didn't you see how she was dressed?" And don't give me that shit about that I'm overreacting, and these are fictional characters, it doesn't matter. The point is, people actually dress up like these characters, and if you're going to talk shit about Cammy White from Street Fighter being offensive and demeaning because she dressed like a slut, then by proxy, that pertains to the women cosplaying as her as well. If it's so goddamn offensive for female characters to be showing skin, then why do people cosplay as them? I'm not counting booth babes because they get paid for that. I'm talking about your average cosplayer who shows up to a convention dressed as them. It's never as simple as because they just fucking feel like it, or maybe they want to feel sexy every once in a while. No, it has to be some insane conspiracy about how the patriarchy brainwashed them to do it. This is why I have no respect for pseudo-feminists. They only go after the shit that offends them and never attack the big picture.